Greetings. I'm doing a little bit of morning ink today. I'm working on a system of trying to make these videos on a daily basis, even if they're short, itty bitty little tiny little videos. I have to start making these on a regular basis. Let's see. What's the point of a YouTube if you're not going to make videos like legitimate videos, eh? So, do I have any scratch paper? Well, I should be more prepared. I should have this all sorted out by now. Shit. Oh. Sit. So dramatic, huh? Anyway, do a little bit of morning ink here. A lot of these drawings are nearly done. Just have to finish them. Isn't that the magic word, finish? Nothing's ever finished. Nothing is ever finished. Make sure I'm in frame here. Am I? Still trying to get a lot of this stuff organized and arranged right. Let's see. Line by line. Pardon the weird shadow. Yeah, it is pretty intense, isn't it? I have a window in front of me and a window on the right-hand side, and so it's going to cast a bit of a shadow. The arrangement of the desk is about as optimum as I can get for the time being. And so one of the things that I would bring to bear when drawing, a lot of times a lot of people put too much pressure and tension into the hand when they're drawing. They're drawing with their wrist, they're drawing with their fingers. And something like this, you find a comfortable spot where you can put your elbow, and you pivot with the elbow. And you use your entire arm. I know this is really exciting, really quite dramatic. This is a variation on a variety of different sketchbooks and designs from sketchbooks. I treat these freehand drawings similar to how I treat the writing. You just start anywhere. An action, a statement, a concept, a description, and you work your way from there. And sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't really bear any kind of significant fruit. I've had quite a few projects that were started that way, and it can be an unfortunate way of starting because sometimes you find yourself canceling or quitting a project that just is not going to go anywhere. And you need to work on a massive amount of personal faith in a project, especially if you don't have any plans or outline. And again, a plan and an outline is pretty good if you have a very plot-heavy story. Even character-driven stories, you need some kind of idea of what you're going to do. Or it just ends up becoming chaos. And maybe that's your bread and butter when it comes to creative projects, utter chaos. And that's fine and dandy. But sometimes it just doesn't work out. For instance, over here, almost 2 feet high? Some of it's paper, but most of it's that's all stacks of manuscripts. Back in the day when you could, when I would print off, because I would write a lot of draft, and then I would print it off, and then I would edit longhand from there, and it just became too cumbersome. And because I bounced around from one project to another project a little too much, before you know it, you've used up half a forest of paper on things that are still, in process. And the other thing too that I work with in regard to these freehand drawings, and I don't consider these mistakes or being ruined, but I guess I wasn't paying attention and I have little drops of ink here and here, and I'll just leave those in. And that's, again, removing the obsession with control when it comes to artwork. If you have control over yourself, that's fine. And that's probably the most important control you could ever have. As a quote from Salvador Dali would say, artists don't worry about perfection, you'll never attain it. And the idea of perfection is just an idea of control. My idea of perfection has always been that it's something that is one of a kind, because if you really get down into the objective idea and the objective definitions of perfection, it seems kind of weird because perfection then means that it is identical to something else without any kind of variation. Like if you create a chain link, which is your ideal chain link. And that's how you're going to have all chain links made, and every single chain link is made exactly in that frame. Then they're perfect. But I like the idea that perfection is that it is a thing in of itself, and it can be only itself. There is no other version of that chain link in existence. It is perfect by the fact that it is one of its own. When I was in art school in Sarasota, my only transportation was a bicycle, which, in Florida, that's not such a bad thing. Uh, I was just doing one of my afternoon bike rides, bumming around town, and I watched a an old, beat up 1980s Ferrari. I mean, yes, I know it's a Ferrari, but it was absolutely filthy. Brake dust, dirt, just generally filth. And you could tell that the person who drove the Ferrari absolutely loved the Ferrari because he drove it. He experienced it. And that car was perfect. In the moment that the person was driving it, experiencing the car, its age, whatever issues the car might have had, the dirt, the filth, the traffic, the car was perfect. More perfect than if it was freshly off the showroom floor. And this idea of perfection being the imperfect, or one of a kind, I should say, is one of the reasons why with photography, I use old lenses, old Nikkor lenses, because it's the limitations in those lenses that make them individualistic, almost one of a kind. Anyway, thank you for watching.